So this is one of my cell builders I've set up 4 days ago, and it's a bit of a beast. I'm really pleased with this one, and it was an actual colony that was on 10 frames before, usual configuration that I set up. So 10 frames of brood added to the top box, okay, over any strong colony. But it was just to show you this, that I haven't given this a super, and our flow I thought had stopped. But what we've got instead is every single cell in here that is available as soon as a bee hatches out is immediately filled with nectar. So they're completely chocked up, and because of that I've already checked through the bottom box again and found they're starting cups. So this is an interesting question, because a lot of people say to me, why doesn't it swarm, you know, before you take out the queen and move her away and then screen out all the bees except the nurse bees? Well, the reason why it doesn't swarm is because it still can. You just have to be vigilant. So this queen that was suddenly given all these nurse bees, and these aren't all hatched out yet, that's the thing. And I knew this was a really strong colony, so you have to be absolutely careful. But basically, if you give a colony 10 frames of bees and brood, they don't always swarm straight away, because it takes the time for everything to change to swarm mode. And I think in an older queen, that would be coming anyway, because perhaps she feels like swarming more regularly. But if it's a strong, prolific young queen, it takes that little bit longer from the minute she suddenly goes, oh, there's no room, to actually leaving the colony. So I think you've got a little bit more time. I also put in a frame of foundation. So it means I'm immediately, I call it depressurizing the bottom box where the queen is. So she'll have room to lay, and immediately they'll start moving nectar further up, and there'll be more space for everything. Because I really want her to carry on as she is. I don't want her to go into sort of swarm mode where she could leave. I really want her to just carry on laying and have space, because we will have less nectar. I mean, what we're having now is really nice hot weather, so anything that is left around is probably actually producing a little bit of nectar. That's why I think this is happening. But I know historically, the way our nectar flows go, there is absolutely nothing really for the next 3 weeks until the brambles start and until the chestnut trees start to flower. And they're way behind this year. So we could be 3 to 4 weeks. So I know really that if I had this super, it's not really needed, but I'm doing it anyway because it's going to make no difference to my brood box. And it's better to have the bees in the box rather than hanging from the tree, as you well know. So I'm going to pull out a frame in a second, show you actually what the frame looks like. Every single part of this colony is overloaded. It's just got no eggs in the top box, obviously, but the brood hasn't all hatched out yet, but every space is available. They're adding extra honey to it, so there's no space available. So what I'm doing is I've taken a frame out the bottom, and this frame I've taken out the bottom is perfect for my cell builder, because look at it. It's a pollen frame. And you couldn't get much better pollen than that. I mean, that's just absolutely beautiful. It just shows you how good a colony this is. I may even consider grafting from this queen, because I was talking about grafting the other week, and we don't have many colonies that we can graft from that we would consider worth noting as breeding stock. But this is starting to fill the criteria. They're really gentle bees, they produce loads of honey, and they're prolific, and they produce pollen. I mean, look at that. It's just absolutely full, that frame. So that frame there is going to go into my cell builder, which is up there, which you can probably see. That one there's my cell builder I'm using at the moment, and next week that one has the final graft in today, and then next week that one's reassembled above a queen excluded to be a finisher just for a few days. And those two there have got cells finishing in, so is that one there, and so is that one up there. So this one will take over then. And with a pollen frame like that going in there, you know you're going to get good cells. This is what I wanted to show you. Look, this is exactly what I mean when you talk about a colony getting too full of honey and no room. There's the bees hatching. Look, and if I come back a little bit, you can just see every single cell is full of nectar. Now that's like an early warning system, and if you've got a good queen and you're vigilant and you're sensible, you would see that and think, right, this colony is running out of space, because you need to get back in that brood box and check for cells. Now luckily I have, and there is none. There was cups, but they didn't even have an egg in them. So I know I'm safe for 5 to 6 days, which is what I'll need just for the rest of this brood to hatch out. And there's other frames that are obviously a little bit less advanced than this one. But the bees are lovely here. See this one here, I don't know if I can get this frame out. these bees. This frame is, I don't know if you can see that, you've got brood there that's a little bit, you can just see it there, it's a little bit younger down the edges. So that's going to be the full 5 to 6 days before that's emerged. So that was just to show you how careful you've got to be. They can go sometimes, and every now and again you do lose one. But generally, if you have a strong colony and you check if the queen cells when you first add the brood, you're generally fine until the brood hatches on day 9, day 10, and then you need to go in though, because you haven't got long. If it's really strong, you've got to be a bit careful. It's worth, if you can, doing a medium check, say day 5 to 6, like I've done today, day 4. I had suspicions, so we should be okay now. But if I lose this is going to cock up my entire production. I could just go out to my production hives and shake out nurse bees and bring back a whole box of nurse bees just to use for queen rearing. But I prefer to do this. For me, this works. And there's loads of other methods that we discussed, but it's just interesting to be able to show you this, because this is what you've got to be aware of. I'm actually going to put this super on top of here. And the other reason why I'm doing it is because if I put the super on, it breaks up the weight. It'll fill the super with honey and nectar, and I won't have to lift the heavy brood box, because that brood box now, 10 frames on a Dadant brood box, weighs an absolute ton, and it is not healthy for you to lift that, I tell you. But anyway, there you go, a bit of fun to see. So now I'll be breaking this down next week, probably Wednesday. I'm actually away for 2 days next week, which puts a spanner in the works, but needs must. I have to go away, unfortunately. So I'll be doing this Wednesday and grafting Wednesday night, and that'll be the next grafter. So it's all good, everything's working pretty well. Cheers for now.